Every year, at least 90% of athletes experience some sort of injury in their sport. That's not across their whole career, that is every year. That is a ridiculously staggering number, and not only do injuries set you back physically, but also mentally. So what's the actual good news? Most injuries are preventable, but most athletes don't even know how to prevent the injuries that are happening. So stick with me and I'll share the proven strategies that can help you to train safe, strong, and injury-free. What's up, I'm Lockie, a final year sport and exercise science student at Oxford Brookes University. With almost 4 years resistance training experience, I've had plenty of time to figure out what works and what doesn't, and what methods are actually best for training injury-free. But on top of that, I've spent countless hours researching what are the best ways to train, but also how to stop injuries from occurring and recurring. So if you've had an ACL injury before, you're going to know how to stop that from happening again. I've been exactly the same. I dislocated both of my ankles in 2024 and I was so scared to do any type of leg locking in jiu-jitsu. And 1 year down the line, my ankles have fully healed, I'm a lot more confident, and I'm now training without any restrictions. And obviously injuries can happen to everyone, whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just starting your fitness journey. And while pushing yourself is very important, training smart is what actually leads to long-term success. And training smart doesn't mean not pushing yourself, it means pushing yourself whilst taking into account other considerations that can cause injury. So in today's video, we're going to address common fears and misconceptions about injuries. We're going to dive into methods to prevent them whilst boosting performance, and share real life success stories that highlights the power of training smart. By the end of this video, you'll have practical science-based strategies to help you train injury-free. So let's talk about why injuries can happen and how they can completely derail your progress if you don't cater to them properly. So number one is fear of injury. Many people hold back during training because they're afraid of getting hurt. This fear leads to inconsistent effort, suboptimal performance, and a lack of progress over time. So whilst it's fine to be wary and cautious of injuries that can happen, being over cautious and being really scared of injuries is just going to hinder your progress and quite possibly enhance the likelihood of an injury happening, because you're so hyper fixated on it, you're not thinking about anything else, and then you've injured something else. But on the flip side, you have overconfidence, because people tend to push too hard, too quickly, and get injured that way. Common mistakes include things like skipping warm-ups, ignoring proper form, and jumping into high intensity workouts without any proper preparation. But why does it actually matter, and why should you or should you not be worried about injuring yourself? So injuries don't just affect your body, they impact your mental health, your motivation, and your consistency. And a minor injury can take weeks to heal, setting back your progress. So the real challenge is striking the balance between pushing for results and protecting your body from unnecessary stress. So now let's dive into some actionable training strategies that can help you enhance your performance without any injuries occurring. So the first and often neglected strategy is to warm up properly. So a proper warm up does more than just loosen up your body. I know it feels that way, but it also prepares your muscles, joints, and nervous system for movement. Often things that you don't notice that happen during a warm up are happening to help prevent injuries occurring. So the first step of a warm up is to do 5 to 10 minutes of light cardio to increase heart rate and blood flow. Think jogging, cycling, or jumping jacks. Just because you're cycling, that does not mean you're only going to get blood flow to your legs, for example. Or if you're doing a rowing machine, that does not mean you're only going to get blood flow to your arms and back. You're going to enhance the blood flow across the whole body, thus preparing your body even more for the workout. And then step 2 is to do dynamic stretches, which are moving stretches like arm circles, which loosen the shoulders and chest, leg swings, which prepares the hips and hamstrings, and lunges with a rotation, which engages the core and improves your mobility. Because research consistently shows that dynamic warm-ups reduce injury risk by improving joint range of motion. So the next important strategy to reduce injuries as an athlete is to strength train. This doesn't mean going absolutely ham, you're not trying to get like a bodybuilder, but strengthening your body will reduce the risk of injuries, because it will help to build resilience and reduces the chance of strain or overuse injuries. So the important focus areas are things like glutes and hamstrings, which are often underdeveloped, leading to imbalances, and core strength stabilises the spine and protects against lower back injuries. If you're not too sure how to build your core or your abs properly, take a look at this video. I go into it in a lot more depth. And some great example exercises for overall strength training are compounds like a squat, bench and a deadlift, or using planks and a pull-off press for core stability. So the third and probably the most important strategy is perfecting your form. So many injuries happen due to lack of form. So refining your form and perfecting it before moving on to more difficult stages of a movement is paramount, because bad form doesn't just limit performance, it also invites injuries to happen. So some ways you can perfect your form are things like working with a coach or record yourself to identify mistakes, focus on controlled reps and avoid ego lifting, which is lifting way too heavy without strict form. For example, in squats, keep your knees aligned with your toes and engage your core to prevent lower back strain. But don't be scared to ask for help. If there's someone in the gym that you see can do the exercise properly, or if there's a trainer or a personal coach there, go over to them and ask. I guarantee you they would not mind, and they would much rather help you perfect your form so you don't injure yourself. And number 4 is something I often see athletes not doing, which is cross training. So repetitive training can lead to overuse injuries, so cross training diversifies your movements and builds overall fitness. For example, runners can alternate with swimming or cycling, and weightlifters can add yoga or Pilates for flexibility. And the final and by far the most important one to prevent injuries is prioritizing your recovery. And that does not mean just an hour after your workout, because training hard is only effective when paired with adequate recovery strategies. So sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night supports muscle repair and hormonal balance. Active recovery days like using foam rolling, stretching or light activities improve blood flow and reduce soreness. And if you can fuel your body with lean proteins, complex carbs and healthy fats, that will also help to optimize your recovery. So here's a real life example that shows how training smarter can make all the difference to injuries occurring. So a guy I used to train with was constantly worried about tearing his ACL. He'd previously torn his ACL, but wasn't quite sure what to do to make sure that it didn't happen again. Because as soon as you get one injury, if you don't properly care for that injury and aid the rehab process, the likelihood of it happening again skyrockets. So we highlighted 2 main things. He was not warming up his joints properly, and his hamstring to quadricep ratio was massively imbalanced. So we programmed planning effective warm-ups before training jiu-jitsu, and we took him to resistance training so we could bring up the strength of his hamstrings, thus balancing out the hamstring to quadricep ratio. And we also included other activities like swimming to help take the load off of his ACL, but whilst also keeping it moving and keeping it mobile. And the result? He was 10 times more comfortable and 10 times more confident in going for big movements that may have previously put his ACL in a compromised position, whereas now he's just a lot more happy to move freely during jiu-jitsu without thinking about that ACL tearing again. So this story shows that when you take a more balanced approach, you can train a lot harder without being worried about that injury from occurring. So let's quickly summarise what we've covered. So injuries are common, but largely preventable with proper preparation. Warm-ups, strength training and perfect form are the foundations of safe training, and cross-training and recovery ensures your body stays balanced and resilient. Because training smart isn't about holding back, it's about building a strong, adaptable body that can handle the demands of your goals. So if you ever dealt with a massive injury that's happened again like me, and how did you actually deal with it? Make sure to let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new and turn on the bell icon so you get notified every time I post. And if you like this video in particular, please smash the thumbs up button, it really helps me out a lot. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.